Hi everyone, I'm Shauna and welcome to my channel. Today's video is the long-awaited 100 uses project pan update. Before we jump into the update, and honestly I have a couple of rollouts which is really exciting, I do want to say that I'm experimenting with a couple of different upload times. So instead of Wednesday and Sunday, I'm experimenting with Thursday and Monday. I'm going to see how that goes, but just to let you know, my semester is really way crazier than I expected. So that's the major reason why the change. So let's get into the video. There's a lot of exciting updates to talk about. The first product to update is my Becca Lipstick. So last update, it was at 15 uses. I used the lipstick 21 times, bringing the total up to 36. So this is what she's looking like now. And I have my little card to show you the progress. We're here. I did reach for this a little bit more than in the last update, and I really foresee myself using this even more coming up into the fall, because as I said in the last update, the summertime is more of like the glossy, balmy products, and then as we move more into fall and winter, I'm way more inclined and interested in using products like this. And also as my tan is fading, the color is becoming more comfortable and looking better. This was just too light when I had a tan. So I kind of suspect that next month I'll have more than 20 uses. My goal is going to be 30 to bring this into like the 70 range. The next product I want to talk about is the Tower 28 lip gloss, and before this update I used it 32 times. I'm just want to show you the difference before I say how much. Look at that, that is huge. And so this to me is the best evidence of what I've talked about, that what I think my preferences are and what I believe I'm using is actually true. I reached for this a ton. I reached for this over 120 times in the last 2 months. I did stop counting after 120 uses. I just kind of lost track. I think this is awesome. There's a ton of product in here and I still have more to go here. So I'm gonna keep this hanging around because I think it's close enough where I probably could finish this by the end of the year. But because I hit my goal, I am like officially rolling this out of the project, and I guess you'll know when the year-end empties if I do end up finishing it, but I'm gonna, try to do my best to do that. So in its place, I'm going to be introducing the Fenty Beauty Pro Kisser Luscious Lip Balm. This is in the shade Latte Lips, and I'll just show you the color. It's a mauve-y kind of rosy color. It's a cool toned pinky brown, perfect for this time of year. And over the last maybe 2 weeks, I have been using this less and less. There was a peak time in like August where I was just using this like crazy, and into September too. But over the last 2 weeks, I've been reducing my use of that and using other products because that color, while it's sheer, just gives me summer vibes. So I think that this edition is perfect for this time of year. I'm hoping that I'll get a lot of use out of this and keep this on my desk to where when I have makeup days and I'm just like looking for something that's a little bit more subtle but has a little bit of color. So really just perfect shape for this time of year. And my goal for this is going to be 50 uses. I did put a little mark here. There is air, and so this is my best guess as to where we are right now, but I'm very interested to see where I'll go over the fall with this. That's it for lip products, and now on to a couple of complexion products. The first is the Bare Minerals blush. I had previously used it 50 times, and I only used it 5 times this past month. We're here. I don't really think you'll notice a big dip. When September 1st happened, I kind of felt like my makeup preference list just like overnight changed, and this color, while you could totally wear this and be into this in the fall time, I've been really into pink and mauve blushes. So this one hasn't, as you can tell, hasn't really been used. And even in August, I was certainly experimenting, and I spent a lot of time wearing my Merit blush in August So this one didn't get as much use as I wanted to. So what I'm hoping is I'm gonna set a goal of 10 uses for the next update. That way I can keep my use on this going, but then also allow myself to use other things that I'm really feeling and really kind of loving at this time of year. Next up is my MAC highlighter. Before this update, I had used it 39 times, and this update I used it 16 times. And this has been in the update, I think this is like the third update, and I was expecting the usage on this to be a little bit higher. I guess I'll show you what it looks like. I have been experimenting with, honestly, a much more natural base because of Merit Beauty. I was using my Hourglass palette like for highlight almost exclusively in August. There was a couple of times here and there that I pulled out the MAC, and then after using it for so long, I kind of got into my head like, oh, the MAC highlight is just going to be too much. And then I kept assuming it would be that way, and then finally I was like, you know what, let's pull it out again, let's try and get some uses for the project. And I was like, Shauna, you love this highlighter for a lot of the year, why now? Like, why this change? So I pulled it out and used it again and realized that my thinking about this was kind of all in my head, and it wasn't as blinding kind of see from space type of highlighter that I had built up in my mind. I think it's okay for your preference to, you know, change with the season as you're experimenting with different looks, and I'm not, you know, unhappy with this particular number, but I guess I had used Hourglass palette so much I forgot what the MAC looked like, and then once I put it back on, I was like, oh yeah, this is why I love this. So my current usage is at 55, and I'm hoping to use this 25 to 30 times for the next update, and I think that's really doable, especially that like I've tried it again and I've been using this for like days in a row. I think the usage goal for the MAC highlighter will be easier, especially compared with the blush, because highlight for me isn't something I really change with the season. It's more of like intensity that I want a little bit of change with, and I like this one as it is. So I feel confident about that goal. The next product to update you on is the Marcel face powder, and I actually finished this. It's done. I used this 25 times before it was finished. So I used this 25 times before I finished the product, and I'm gonna put on the screen what the total usage ended up being at the time that I finished it. I do believe that I hit the 100 use mark, or I got really close at the very least. So I'm really excited that I finished that one and I kind of saw it through to the end. By the way, I just want to say, so the powder I'm gonna roll into its place is the Glossier Wowder. I have I did a marking here, and I was using it the past couple of weeks. I used this about 18 times, but I didn't mark this until just a couple of days ago. So we'll be starting from here. So I just want to make a quick note here. This product was about $15 and has 70 grams. This glossy powder is, I think, like maybe $28, and this has 7.2 grams. This is such a value for money. I don't think I've ever seen a powder with this much product before. It's really huge, and I didn't understand how great of a deal this was until, you know, I came across the Glossier and was doing the math on that. But I'm kind of torn about would I repurchase this product, simply because I can't use this on top of my makeup. I can only use it underneath because this has a strong peachy color to it. So the jury's still out on if I would repurchase the Marcel powder. Let's now talk about the eyeshadows. The first is the Abh Palette. I only used this 3 times, bringing the total up to 49. I don't have it here simply because there's not really going to be much difference that you'll be able to tell visually in the palette. Before coming on here to film, I did think about removing the Abh palette from the project. I ultimately decided against it for one reason. There's a lot of people out there who are so great at panning eyeshadows. They can use the same eyeshadow palette every single day for a year, and like even if they struggle through it, they can do it. That's never been me, and the point that I want to make to myself first and foremost, and hopefully to you as well if you're somebody like me, is that simply using an eyeshadow 100 times is really hard. Not just if we were to use it every single time we did our makeup, how long would that take? But also what's important is that we don't always feel like wearing that exact same palette every time we do our makeup. So I'm keeping it in here as an experiment to myself, or as an experiment to show myself how long would it take me to hit 100 uses on this eyeshadow palette that I've told myself that I love and is among my favorites and like an all year round palette for me. How long will it take me to use that palette almost in like, I don't want to say a natural way because it's in a project, but a way that includes the ebbs and flows of desire. And just this past September marks 1 year of this project, and the ABH palette was in here from the beginning, and I can tell you I'm only at 49 times after 1 year, which says a whole lot about how many times I'm using my makeup, or specifically my eyeshadows, and then how long it would take me to get to 100 uses on kind of any of my palettes. So that's why I'm keeping it in, and at least to me that is important. The last product to talk about is my Colourpop eyeshadow, and coming into this update I had used it 16 times and I only used it 7, so it brings my total up to 23, and this is what she's looking like. We clearly have pan in here. I think I've just expanded it a little bit, and I really just needed a bit of a break from this. I had used it so much over the past couple of months that I was only reaching for this, once every couple of weeks, which is okay. What I said about the ABH palette still applies to this single, because I've talked a lot about how much I love this and how this is my favorite single shadow. And this is kind of like a same but different experiment with the ABH palette. This is a more recent love and a more recent addition to my collection overall when compared to the ABH palette, but this is also a single, meaning there's kind of one way to use this, and I don't have the variety that I would if I was using my ABH palette. So I'm equally as curious to find out how long it would take me to use something that's a little bit newer but also a single shadow. And I really only use a single shadow for a one shadow look. That's kind of my intention when I buy them. So how long will it take me to use this particular shadow with the function that it has, and something that's a little bit newer than the ABH? And by a little bit I mean like it's 3 years newer than the ABH palette. So that's everything. That is the update. This project, I really want to encourage anybody out there who's been thinking about doing a project like this to totally do it. I would love to know your thoughts on how I'm doing, if you're doing a 100 uses project or a use oriented project. I'd love to know how yours is going in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you again around here soon. Bye.